Greetings, math fans. All right, so this is day 3 of chapter 2, and what we've done in the past couple days is we've done acute angles where we find sine, cosine, tangent, all the reciprocal functions of acute angles, and then day 2 we did of all the rest of the angles. Remember, you find a reference angle. Now we're going to kind of work backwards. So what's going to happen now is instead of me giving you the angle and you find the sine of that angle, I'm going to give you the ratio, and you're going to tell me what the angle is. Okay? So this is day 3. And basically it's finding angles given a ratio. Okay? So as I said, not long time ago, but just a couple days ago, you need to know the ratios for sine, cosine, tangent. So I'm just going to write that out here. You need to know the ratios for sine, cosine, and tangent. You have to know those. If you don't know those, you're going to struggle. You really are. You have to memorize those. So you got to commit them to memory somehow. Go home, do flashcards, whatever it takes. Got to commit them to memory. Okay. So, like if I give you guys sine of 30 degrees, let's just start out with an example. You guys should know that's 1/2. Okay, so the sine of theta equals 1/2. If I ask you this question, you're going to say 30 degrees, right? Well, yeah, kind of. All right, well, isn't there more than one spot where sine is equal to 1/2, right? Isn't sine of 30 degrees 1/2, and also if I do a reference angle, and if I had 150 degrees, reference angle is still 30, and it's positive there, so isn't that an answer as well? So there are really two answers to this problem, 30 and 150. In fact, can't I add 360 to that and say, well, 390 degrees is also another possibility? Yeah, I suppose I could do that too, but here's the deal. We're going to restrict theta, and we say theta is a set where it is between 0 and 360 degrees. Notice, math fans, it is not including 360. Okay, we'll never have an answer that gives you 360, so don't even use it. Don't use it. It's really important. I've just seen people use 360 as a final answer. It's never 360. It's up to 360, but it does include 0. So really, for this problem, I have two answers, 150 and 30 degrees. Okay? So let's talk about some steps now to actually do these kinds of problems, because they're really not difficult as long as you know the ratios. So here are steps. And let's do it on this one. Sine of theta is equal to -√3/2. Okay? So the first step is to determine theta prime based on sine of theta is equal to, and I'm going to put this in absolute value, -√3/2. So we're taking that -3/2, but really we're using the positive value, because I don't want to be caught up with positive negatives yet. We're going to use that in a second. But right now you're just saying, hey, the sine of what? That's really the question you're asking, is the sine of what is √3/2? And you should say, oh, that means theta prime is equal to 60 degrees, right? Because the sine of 60 is √3/2. Okay, so that's the first thing. We find the reference angle. The second step is we determine the correct quadrant or quadrants based on the trig function. It is quadrants, or one of the quadrantals, but so maybe I'll just get rid of the parentheses because it really is the quadrants based on the trig function and the SIGN sign. Okay, so just basically what you want to do is you want to say, okay, all students take calculus. So for this one, it's negative. So do you guys agree that we're in, for sine, we're in this one and this one here? Okay. And let me write down what you would say if you're in the bottom two quadrants and I give you the reference angle now. So now you're not finding it. If I give you a reference angle, that means that's this angle right here, right? That's the reference angle I just gave you. You'd say 180 plus that. And if I gave you this angle here, you would say 360 minus that. That would actually give you the actual angle. And then just because it's, let's go up here, this is not part of our answer, but if I gave you this one, it would be 180 minus theta prime. It's kind of a little bit different than before because now I'm handing you the reference angle as opposed to handing you the angle and you find the reference angle. Okay? And then this one's really easy. That's just theta prime. All right? And again, you guys should know that like this number, this is 180 degrees. And so, you know, it's almost kind of obvious, right? If I'm in the third quadrant, you're going to add that reference angle. If I'm in the second quadrant, I subtract that. And if I'm in the fourth quadrant, I'm going to say 360, which is all the way around, minus that reference angle. Okay? The ones we're going to be using for this problem right now is these two quadrants, right? Because it's sine is negative here and here. So your final answer for this problem, theta is equal to 180 plus, when I say determine the quadrant, we're in quadrants, of course, 3 and 4. So 180 plus 60 degrees, and theta is 180 or 360 minus 60 degrees. So we get 240 degrees, that's one answer, and 300 degrees, that's another answer. Okay? It really isn't difficult, but you got to know, I would say number one is the hardest part right here. You just have to know and it's not even that bad as long as if you know your ratios, it's pretty easy actually. Okay, so we got a bunch more examples here, so let's do those. Cosine of theta is equal to root 2 over 2. Okay, so you're going to tell me the cosine of what is root 2 over 2. So the reference angle is 45 degrees. All right? And then you're going to say, well, where's cosine positive? So it's all students take calculus. And where's cosine positive? It's positive here and here, right? So you're going to say this is 45 is one of the answers, and you're going to say 360 minus 45, which is 315. There you go. Those are your two answers for that problem. Pretty easy. Okay. Cotangent of theta. Let's do that one. Let's do something with a one function that we don't necessarily know. Okay. So here's the deal, math fans. If you're given a problem like this, I'm not really good with cotangent, but I'm really good with tangent. So this is a ratio. So remember, cotangent is the xy, it's x over y. So why not just flip it around and rewrite this as tangent of theta is equal to, if I flip it, 1 over root 3 negative, right? You should know that it's either root 3 or it's root 3 over 3, and that's what it comes out to be. It's so much easier to do this, to rewrite. Okay? Why memorize all those different ones? Just know sine, cosine, tangent, and then you're good to go. Because now if I give you this problem, and you draw your little chart here, and you're saying where's tangent negative? Well, in these two quadrants here, well, I guess I need my reference angle. You guys should know that. It's a three-party. There you go. So it's 180 minus 30. Gives me 150. That's one answer. And 360 minus 30, which gives you 330. And that's your other answer. So those are your two answers, 150 and 330. Okay, let's do another one. Let's do cosecant of theta is equal to 2. Well, again, I'm going to change this to sine of theta is equal to 1/2. So much easier to deal with that. Okay, now reference angle. Reference angle is going to be 30 degrees because sine of 30 is 1/2. Looks familiar. We've actually done that problem already. but it's okay. So we're positive here and here. So 30 degrees is one answer. 180 minus 30, which is 150. That's the other answer. Okay, not bad. So you're probably looking at a lot of these and going, well, okay, that's really not that bad. You got two answers for everything. Well, it's not always two answers. It's sometimes, most of the time it is, but not always. Let's take a look at a different type of problem. It's kind of the same idea. Tangent of theta is equal to 0. Well, what you need to realize here is there's not always a reference angle. There's no reference angle because you should recognize where's tangent is equal to 0. Well, it's equal to 0 right here and right here at 0 and 180. There's no reference angle here. So, but still two answers, and that's your answer for this. If I said tangent of theta is equal to 0, what's theta? You're going to say 0 and 180. Okay? Now, here's two answers. How about this one? Sine of theta is equal to 1. Again, this is a quadrantal, but remember sine goes from 0 to 1 to 0 to negative 1. Where is sine is equal to 1? One place. So the answer to this one is 90 degrees. Okay? How about this one? How about secant of theta is equal to negative 1? I don't really know that very well, so I'm going to change it to cosine of theta. If I take the reciprocal, I still get negative 1. Where's cosine negative 1? Well, remember cosine's 1, 0, negative 1, 0. Ah, there we go. At 180 degrees. So theta is equal to 180 degrees. Okay, what about, last one here, I'll clear this out here. Cotangent of theta is equal to undefined. So where's cotangent undefined? Well, again, I'm not really good with that, but if I change this to tangent theta, well, you certainly don't do 1 over undefined. That doesn't make sense. But why is it undefined? Because it's 1 over 0, remember that? So it's really, the reciprocal of undefined is really 0. Okay, because if I flip undefined, which I'm flipping 1 over 0, I really get 0 over 1. So I can rewrite it as tangent of theta is equal to 0, and where is tangent equal to 0? Okay, we just did this one. That's 0, 180. Okay, so basically if you have a reciprocal function, flip it over. It's a you can do that. It's a ratio. You're allowed to do that. All right, so it's really, really, really important. All right, the last part of this lesson today, math fans, is really evaluating trig functions. And I don't know why kids kind of struggle with this a little bit because it's stuff that we've learned. I just don't. I think it's part of it is just the math part, the algebra. So this is evaluating trig functions. And here's my first example. Sine squared of 270 plus tangent squared of 120. And I'm just asking you to evaluate. That's all I'm doing is just you figure it out. So you have to figure out what sine of 270 is. Well, you should know it's a quadrantal. And we're down here. And sine goes from 0 to 1 to 0 to negative 1. So sine of 270 is negative 1. So it's negative 1 squared. Okay. Tangent of 120. Don't really know, but I have a reference angle. 180 minus 120 is 60. Not a three-party, so it's just root 3. But where's 120? We're over here, right? Because 180 is here. And then you're going to say it's negative because tangent is negative there. So I truly have negative 1 squared plus negative root 3 squared. Be careful when you square, negative becomes positive. So it's 1 plus 3 is 4. Okay? So it's not bad. Let's do one more here. But I'm going to tell you, for all these problems, math fans, you need to watch your signs. Okay, kids forget signs all the time, and it's brutal. It's brutal. Even like that last problem, they don't. I mean, it was not that big of a deal because it was, squared or whatever, and then it becomes positive anyway. But you got to watch your signs. Oh, cannot stress that enough. All right, here's a friendly one. 3 secant squared of 210 degrees plus tangent to the 4th of 300 degrees. I want you to evaluate that. So, a let's think about this. Well, it's 3 times, well, I don't know what secant is, but I know what cosine is. And let's do cosine of 210 and then just flip it. So cosine of 210, do you guys agree it's the reference angle is 30 degrees, 180 minus 180 from 210 is 30. What's cosine of 30? It's root 3 over 2. So really it's 3 times, and I can rationalize it, but I don't want to rationalize it because when I square it, I'm just going to get rid of the radical anyway. So why don't I do this? Now what's the sign of this? Well, isn't cosine negative here? Right? We're in the third quadrant. So I get that squared. Okay? Again, I could rationalize it, but why do that? When you square a radical, it just goes away. The radical goes away. So why not do that? All right. The next one is tangent of 300. Well, 360 minus 300 is 60. That's my reference angle. And 300 degrees is here, so it's negative. So it's plus. What's tangent of 60? Okay, it's not a 3-part. It's just root 3. And that's to the 4th power. And it's, of course, negative 2. So I put the negative in there. Okay? And now we put it all together. 3 and negative 2 squared is 4. Root 3 squared is just 3. Plus root 3 to the 4th is what? It's actually 9, because root 3 times root 3 is just not is 3, and you got 2 of those. 3 times 3 is 9. So we cancel this out because it's over 1. That's a 1 and a 1. So basically you get 4 plus 9 is 13. All right? I get people that get this confused all the time. I don't know why. Okay, it's really not that bad at all. You just kind of need to know your different angles and be able to put things together and do your squaring and multiplying like any good math fan can do. Okay? Anyway, that's it, math fans. Just want to mention for day 3 is to bring your graphing calculator, so your TI tomorrow. So TI grapher. Okay? Bring that tomorrow because we're going to use that a lot tomorrow. So that's it, math fans. Have an outstanding day and know your functions and know your signs. Adios. Goodbye.